Hey y'all, Grollo here. I was going to put out a different video today, but I'm bumping that until the weekend because I felt compelled to react to this one today. Actually, it came out a day or two ago. But Narc, who is one of the larger and most long-standing content creators for Ashes of Creation, as far as I know, is saying goodbye to the game, and he put up a video talking about it. Now, the contents of that video are pertinent to a video I put out a little while back. In the video, I talked about why the development times for games like Star Citizen and Ashes of Creation are so long. And, you know, I understand that many viewers of my channel are laser focused on Star Citizen. Look, Star Citizen's my end game too. But I'm going to continue to weave in happenings and trends and things from across the gaming industry and the entire tech industry for that matter that are pertinent to the things that we're discussing here. So I hope as I react to this, even if you're a diehard Star Citizen fan or insert other game here, and could care less about Ashes of Creation, that you can appreciate the parallels and the shared challenges. Accepting learnings and perspectives from as many sources as possible is important as we attempt to broaden our perspectives, and all that paves the way for, you know, holding us an informed opinion as possible. So let's roll it.
Hey, what up boys? So I make this video with quite a heavy heart, and it's not one that I thought I'd ever make. It seems my time covering Ashes of Creation has come to an end, and from this point onwards, I will be distancing myself from the alpha, its community, and the developers. I'm sure there are many questions as to why I'm doing this, so today I'm going to explain why and set expectations for this channel's future. Now, this all started about a year ago, when Intrepid Studios announced that they would be stopping their 250 pack sales temporarily in order to generate a huge amount of FOMO, or fear of missing out, as they continued to show live streams of the game's so-called development. I knew back then that miscommunication or straight-up lies were being utilized in order to hide the truth. I've seen it before. What's he gonna do next? What's he gonna do? Is he gonna stop selling Alpha 2 keys and then reintroduce Alpha 2 keys again 2 months before the Alpha 2? Is that what he's going to do next? Holy shit, just like he did with Alpha 1. Do you guys remember that? Lo and behold, just as I knew it would, the pack sales came back not only in the form of a much lower price, but it also came in the form of 3 phases, delivering a very underdeveloped alpha release that had been promised to us these last 4 years under the price of $250. Leading into this,
They have to fund the game somehow. Like, I know Steven is investing a ton of his personal money into creating this game and bringing it to market, but he can't do it himself. I don't think he's that capable. Maybe, I don't know, but like, and I'm gonna make some comparisons between Ashes and Star Citizen here. This is not whataboutism or anything like that. It's just there's a lot of things that these games have in common, and I think it's useful to kind of look at the approaches that either is taking to just kind of level set. I'm even going to mention some other games probably, but over in Star Citizen land, you know, we have ship sales and ship package sales and armor sets and all kinds of cosmetics and all that to help fund the game. Like, the store in Ashes is not nearly as developed. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like, I've poked around a little bit, I think, but I haven't ever spent any money there, and I would imagine most people were in that boat. I imagine by far most of their funding that is coming from us is coming through package, or, you know, early access passes, keys, that type of thing. The older, more expensive game packages. So, like, I can't sit here and say this is a bad model. Like, I'm sick of early access, like pretty much anybody. But I think whenever you're an upstart studio competing with the likes of Rockstar, Bethesda, like they can bankroll this kind of development. These upstarts can't, and so I think it is a compelling business model.
I had very little interaction with Stephen J. Sharif because I have no interest in actually talking to the man. This is why I didn't do interviews or accept any behind-the-scenes information, because I simply do not care. My priority is making entertaining videos for you, and I didn't feel like doing an interview or having information really helped me in that regard. I loved seeing the game be developed from a normal person's point of view, and I take pride in the fact that I am just a normal guy looking in on this game's development. I think it gives a very relatable and unique perspective that no other content creator really has. My priority is making entertaining videos in a way that I find funny, poking at the state of the game and how much of a potential scam it could be. This has been a very successful format because it plays on the irony of a project that is charging $250 but has full control over the narrative.
Playing on the irony is one way of putting it. You could also describe it as appealing to the unending human appetite for negativity. You know, across all of these games that are pushing the envelope and pushing boundaries and taking risks, like this kind of coverage is dominant. I don't know. I don't think there's anything particularly novel about being overly critical, throwing around words like scam, like that. Yeah, it's pretty pervasive.
Despite how ridiculous everything seems, showing amazing showcases that completely blew our minds. More on this later. This is YouTube. I work for myself. I am in no way paid or obligated to praise the game disingenuously. Ashes of Creation offers a referral program, and in my opinion, by using the referral program, it kind of invalidates your opinions of the game and systems due to the real money incentive that is offered through this scheme. Be it a pyramid, Ponzi, or multi-level marketing scheme, it doesn't matter. What matters is that the content creators using it are receiving real-life benefits by utilizing.
Yeah, I agree with this. I think if you're a content creator and you're pushing, you're kind of pushing on Ashes in a positive way while utilizing this on the back end, yeah, that kind of undermines your perspective and opinion. I don't think there's anything wrong with this per se. This just feels like typical retail and marketing to me. Like you're giving a percentage to somebody that's pushing your product for you. I don't know. That's kind of the way I view this. It doesn't really strike me as like bad. But it definitely is something that a content creator should disclose. Like if they were doing this and they were trying to convince me of one thing while profiting off this on the back and not letting me know, that would be kind of shady. So, I don't know where that's going on. I can assure you that I'm pretty positive on Ashes, and I actually did not even know that this existed until watching this video. So.
It. They profit off your $250, so of course they are going to bend the truth to incentivize you to buy in, which leads me into the current state of things. Personally, I don't think Phase 1 was in an acceptable state to test the game. It was sold to us as a networking test, yet now that the Phase 2 has launched, no networking strides have been made, and their so-called dynamic gridding still isn't implemented despite being told on multiple occasions it's coming. Initially,
Star Citizen people, any thoughts? In case you haven't watched my previous video where I kind of compared the different server meshing strategies between all these new games and older ones for that matter, Ashes is chasing a dynamic similar to what Star Citizen is going after with dynamic server meshing. Ashes of Creation is going after something similar. They're calling it dynamic gridding, and that's because like the Ashes map is split up into a grid of zones, each handled by a server, and they want the capability of taking one of those square blocks or whatever and subdividing it into smaller blocks and assigning more servers to it if the demand for compute capacity is there, much like Star Citizen is looking to, assign servers to regions of space and more servers as required by player activity. So that's kind of what this is going on, and they've been working on this for a while. The fact is they do already have the equivalent of Star Citizen's static meshing even in this early stage. We only just entered phase 2 of alpha testing with Ashes, and that's already there. I'm not actually sure the status of the dynamic gridding, but if it's taking longer than anticipated, like, that would not surprise me. All of us over in Star Citizen land can certainly empathize with that.
Actually, we were told it already exists.
Right now, dynamic gridding is in place. Right now, what we are doing is we are optimizing, fixing performance around that, and the current goal, which is on target, is that dynamic gridding will be online by the start of Alpha 2.
Then we found out that it's coming in late Phase 1, then we're told that it's coming at the launch of Phase 2, yet here we are in Phase 2, and all they've done is delete 5 of their servers and claim they've doubled their server workers. Hey,
look, we're in phase 2 landed right before the Christmas break. Like, I know over in Star Citizen land, the developers are working through the Christmas break. I don't know that is a good thing. I do not blame the Intrepid developers at all for taking Christmas break off.
Now claim that they have 6K players per server, yet I find it hard to believe that there are even 6,000 players logged in at all, because the whole 1.2 thousand kilometers squared, or 18 biomes, are supposed to host 8 to 10,000 players. So how can just one biome have 6,000? Unfortunately, the state of the networking makes the combat, arguably Ashes of Creation's main strength, completely unplayable, and thus causes the test to feel tedious and boring. But it's just an alpha, right? I get that, guys. Trust me, I've been covering this game for 4 years. I'm well aware that it is an alpha. The state of the game is not what I'm concerned about. It is the seemingly deceptive communication that's going on between Intrepid and their testers. This lack of communication isn't just shared by me, but it's shared by everyone in my community and the majority of the other content creators.
You could replace the word Intrepid with the word CIG there, and you just created a whole bunch of commentary that's happening on the other side of the fence too.
All of which straight up quit making consistent content, which leads me into the main point. Phase 2 is simply an unsuitable testing environment. Steven Sharif claims that this is a true alpha, yet they present the game in a way that is to be played like it's a launched product.
Is that true? All the other content creators are failing? Doesn't seem to be the case on my feed. But,
We have to grind for 50 hours to even test anything, which doesn't make sense, and is why testers are dropping like flies, because we already did this and tested it all in Phase 1.
You don't want to be doing the same thing over and over again in an alpha. Like, I would not play the alpha. Holy crap. Any alpha game I've played has been that way. Man, I remember playing the opening act of Baldur's Gate 3 like 100 times before that game shipped. Or, Star Citizen. Every time it wipes, we're repeating everything that we've done. This is par for the course, and I think it's important too to get those early stages down tight. Like, when this game finally does ship and a player buys it and they log into it, well, I guess you don't have to buy this one, but you subscribe and you log in, like, that first hour or 2 hour worth of experience, and then the next 10, like, that's going to be critical to whether that player stays or not. So I think there's value in having us pound away at those early levels.
So why did they wipe us and add no additional systems for us to test? To me, the vassal system or level 4 nodes would be one of the main reasons to wipe the servers, yet the vassal system or level 4 nodes weren't even introduced this phase. And now they even claim that they're not going to wipe at all. They are instead just going to introduce new servers. So what's going to happen to those old servers? They claimed prior to Phase 2's launch that at the launch of this phase, the desert was going to receive an expansion.
I am just going to be talking about what's going to land on December 20th. We're going to go through what systems are going to land come December 20th. Let's talk a little bit about what we have coming up for December 20th, right? The desert as well. The desert is probably going to receive a little bit more love than the tropics will, given that its assets are obviously a bit more developed than the tropics location.
This prompted people to finally expect some remnants of the desert showcase that was shown in 2022. Yet, what we received was this: an empty wasteland that could be generated in Unreal Engine 5 in seconds, with the Winstead and Miraleth nodes being copy-pasted onto them, slightly rotated. The state of the desert has obviously sent a lot of people into a confused frenzy, with Reddit posts popping up expressing this concern. This isn't just isolated to me, guys. This is what everyone in the community feels. However, these posts are now being locked by Stephen Sharif himself, and people are being banned by Stephen Sharif himself for simply stating their concerns. There was a beautifully written post about this, talking about how the project is not the open development that we were promised, and it's Stephen's reply to this thread that made me reconsider covering this game. He states that the Desert Showcase in 2022 was not real, and in fact just a showcase using assets that exist, and actually it's pretty normal for developers to do this. This is simply not true, because developers that do this receive a lot of negative backlash, selling promises and pre-orders on a showcase.
What's the Star Citizen crowd have to say about that? Is this true? I can't think of a whole lot of examples off the top of my head, but I can tell you that in systems and products that I've been involved with the design of, like mocking and staging and all of that, is extremely common, like ubiquitous. So I would expect it in game design as well. Also, he was, well, let's let this roll a little longer.
That doesn't accurately represent the game. But in this case, it's not even a downscale of what was shown, it's just a straight up lie. Back in 2022, when the Desert Showcase was being shown, they made it absolutely clear that this was the current state of the desert biome, boasting about their innovative tools to help them develop the world fast, and in no way, shape, or form alluded to this being just a concept.
You know, these are some of the foliage that environment's been creating
Yo, look at
part
that.
of what's capable of creating an interesting desert biome, because many times in the games that probably we've played, the least in.
All right, he's flipping back and forth here between like these just unending dunes of sand and like the other desert, which had water and plants. I was walking through the desert the other day, and I just happened to record a clip of me. I'm gonna let wrong window. Just gonna roll this quick. This was me riding through the desert. Just I don't know, yesterday or the day before. I'm seeing water, the trees that we saw in that video, nice rock formations. Hence there. What else? There's some more different trees. I think those trees are pretty cool looking. See some rock formations off in the distance there. Like, I don't know, this looks to me like a lot of those assets that they were showing us are definitely in the game. Now, it's possible, I know he mentioned that they were talking about expanding the desert region, and it's possible like they did something stupid, like, okay, let's just expand it with a pile of sand dunes. But I think it's a little misleading to pretend like a lot of the assets that they had in those other videos that was being shown don't exist in the game. Like, obviously, just watching my run through here, they exist. Now, the entire maps may not be flushed out with all of these assets yet, but a lot of these assets are here. Here you can see some of the desert covering, some additional plant types. Anyway, just wanted to show this. So as we continue watching Steven's video here, keep this in mind. And then at the end of this video, I'll let this run a little bit longer. You can see here we're coming up to some kind of a chasm, but anyway, let's get back to the video for now.
Interesting biome type tends to be a desert, and it's been always fun, as I've experienced in the MMOs I've played, is like, you know, what is how do they spruce up a desert? And one of the interesting things you're going to see in Alpha 2 is how the desert also adheres to seasons and has weather and has giant dust storms and clouds within which there are interesting creatures that might not normally be present unless for that particular weather. That's going to be very interesting as well. You saw a little bit of the sand tornado capabilities with the dust devil kicking up both.
I already see like conditional spawning with creatures in the game, by the way, so this is not a big stretch, but like right now the night and day cycle affects what creatures are spawning. I don't know that I've seen any weather yet.
In the weather presentation, as well as a little bit in the desert reveal. And you also saw some ambient effects that live across the top of those dunes, where you're seeing winds of sand getting blown across in the distance. And you know, here's the key point. Graphics don't make a game fun. Systems make games fun.
Ooh.
But graphics make those systems far more enjoyable.
This, in fact, extends to all showcases in the last 4 years, and everything shown was not real. The story arcs that showed the world dynamically changing around the Tower of Carfin and Oakenbane Keep, it was not real. The beautiful environment and weather that was shown during the seasonal and commission showcases were not real. The amazing Freehold showcase that showed the farm animals, housing, and crops were not real. It was all just a concept with a $250 price tag on it, with the promise that eventually these things will make it into the game. Maybe. How many of you chose to support the project based on the expectation that the showcases were what they had at the time you pledged, not what will come in 6 years from now? You cannot act like Chronicles of Valeria and not expect backlash from this. But the main thing that is causing me to step away isn't the state of the game. The main thing is that whenever stuff like this is brought up by me or any community member, the narrative is that it's just an alpha, and therefore it's okay. It's not okay. It wasn't okay for all previous Kickstarters to do this, so why is it okay for Ashes of Creation? For Steven Sharif to sit there on Reddit and call me an uninformed content creator who casts illusions on people's fears and negativities when I've spent the last 4 years of my life doing the opposite is absolutely disconnected from reality.
Word.
I simply do not accept the bullshit that is being spewed, and nor do a very large portion of this community. But for him to also prey on mental health as a way to defame and dismiss these concerns whilst locking and banning people who express the same is nothing short of irony. You claim that open development isn't for us, but what I think you mean is that open development isn't for you, Steven Sharif, because what you're selling is not open development. It's funding at any cost, and if anyone questions it, you ban them. So, from the bottom of my heart, I have to apologize to everyone who I convinced to help help support this project these last 4 years because I thought I was being shown the genuine state of the game, not 4 years of Unreal Engine fakery. Now, let's not get this twisted. I do not think Ashes of Creation is a scam. There is a lot of potential here. They've put a fuck ton of work into this game. I had a lot of fun playing Phase 1. However, the fun came from the interactions I had with players, not the actual game itself. The test itself was actually quite tedious and boring, but if the game continues its development, everything that I've said during those Phase 1 videos still stands. I just can't bring myself to condone the practices that the game is currently engaging in, and I wish the developers at Intrepid the best. For the audience who continue to watch.
Why? I don't know how we're supposed to build big, new, ambitious games as indie studios. Seems to me like nobody across any of them condones the practices.
Watch, I advise to take the things that they say from this point onwards with a pinch of salt. What they say isn't what they have or are doing, it is what they intend eventually. Now, to conclude the video, I just want to say that I'm obviously not going to stop making content, of course. I will continue, just not with Ashes of Creation. A lot of you have grown to genuinely enjoy my commentary and reliance on uploads, but I felt these last couple of years, Ashes of Creation has held me back. I didn't feel like my intros and comedic skits fit the format of Ashes anymore, so I stopped them completely, only to bring them back a couple of months ago to the joy of the viewers. Sadly, this burst of confidence was once again stunted by Stephen Sharif feeling offended by my light-hearted jokes towards his game, so I slumped back into the boring format of trying to cover the news. Well, no longer am I going to be restrained by Ashes of Creation. I will continue to make videos, and if you watched exclusively for Ashes, then my advice to you is thusly: forget about the game for about 2 years, and casually check in on Twitch or YouTube to see if there has been any progress. But for now, just...
This is really good advice, by the way. Like, alpha games and early access games are not for everyone. I think, especially MMO players, are so starved for something new these days that, like, they're jumping at anything that becomes available. And these early access games, they might be profiting off that and benefiting from that, but at the same time, like, I definitely feel like players are getting burnt because their expectations going into these things are too high. And so this advice of, like, you know what, come back in 2 years, watch it casually from the sidelines. That's good advice. Like, if you're not in for the pain, and there's no reason to be in for the pain, then stay away. Watch. I mean, there's plenty of people creating content about this stuff on YouTube, plenty of people streaming it on Twitch and your friendly neighborhood Discord server. You know, just observe it, step away. You know, like, I'm a big Star Citizen player, which suffers from all the things that Narc is talking about here, and you know, it's been an alpha for a long time, and whenever the stability gets really bad, like, I don't keep slamming my head against it. I take a break, and I encourage everybody to do that. It can be maddening.
Put the game into the back of your mind, because there isn't going to be any significant progress for a while, and that's okay. I have a plan going forward in 2025, but one thing is for sure: I will no longer have my creativity held back trying to cater to a man who doesn't want to hear criticisms. I will extend my format beyond MMORPGs and start covering all sorts of games.
I think you can say that this guy doesn't want to hear criticisms. At least in the channels I've seen, he's been pretty open to it. But you have to, like, put yourself in his shoes. Like, he has he's made a significant personal stake in this game, and the internet media tends to be just so negative across the board, and even me as someone who's just associated with the industry, like that's the whole reason I got into content creation. It's not like the thing I keep doing. Like I've since found joys in a lot of other ways by doing this, and I will continue to do it because I'm just really having a lot of fun with it. But like, I initially got into it because I felt like there needed to be a more moderate voice out there, because I was just kind of feeling like, man, all the voices are so negative everywhere I turn. Like, and I can only imagine how that would feel as a person taking massive personal risk to bring something into reality like Ashes. Like I can't even imagine. So I can imagine, like I can empathize with Steven wanting to temper like open discussions and open forums, and making sure that the feedback remains constructive and not doesn't go too far into negativity land. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at.
With the intros, jokes, and old format that you guys grew to love, because I only have one goal on YouTube, and that's to make entertaining videos that make people laugh. Now, obviously, changing the direction of the channel is going to be a long journey, and that means I'll be streaming full-time throughout 2025, and upload cadence on this channel will slow. I will be uploading highly edited videos, similar to my old format, on the games that we play on stream, so come join us over at twitch.tv/Narcoverse as we begin this new chapter. I cannot thank you enough for watching and supporting my videos throughout these last 4 years, and should you choose to stop watching for the time being, I hope to see you again in the future as I show up in your algorithm covering a game that actually exists. Hey, what up, boys?
Sorry to see Narc leaving Ashes. You know, his videos are actually very entertaining. If you haven't watched him before, if you're here for another game on my feed, most likely Star Citizen, then you may not have ever seen Narc's videos. But if you're interested in Ashes at all, or whatever he becomes involved with next, like, I definitely encourage you to check him out. He's got a knack for editing and humor. So. Anyway, interesting. Sad, interesting, whatever. Look, I hail from Unhinged Gaming. We are investing heavily in the future of gaming, as I call it. And yes, we play released games too, but we're preparing to do battle in the likes of PAX Day, Ashes of Creation, and Star Citizen. It's possible that one or more of these games fail. You know, we're not putting all of our eggs in one basket, but we're rooting for all of them. And we wouldn't be investing in these games if we didn't think they had a very high chance of succeeding. So, you know, they're not scams. They simply have very lengthy and reasonably so development times. Go check out my video on this topic, linked in the description below. You go to Grollo-AF on YouTube. You're already here watching me. This one. System architect on development time. Pull this thing up. I put a whole video together on why the development times are so long. I focused on Ashes of Creation and Star Citizen in this video. So check it out. Again, I'm linking it in the description below. And before or after you check that out, go visit unhinged.gg. I hope that no matter what, and no matter which game you're following or interested in, if you get dismayed by the unending negativity, that you at least find some solace in the fact that every single game that's trying to break the mold right now is facing the same thing. It's not unique to all the people dooming on Star Citizen. It's not unique to Ashes or PAX. You know, in this video, he talked about the development bottle not being open from the beginning, I guess, because it seems pretty open now in Ashes. Well, it's been open since the beginning in Star Citizen, at least just about, as far as I know. And how much negativity did that stop? Not a lot. There's always something, right? If anything, it just adds more overhead. Though it certainly provides more opportunity for earlier feedback. Ashes went a different route for early stages of development. You know, they solicited feedback from smaller groups of people, is my understanding. And like any system, there's no perfect approach to any of this. Like it's all a pile of trade-offs. You know, the Ashes team gained some benefits from that model, and the Star Citizen team gained some benefits from the more open from the beginning model, and just is what it is. That's all I got. I'm going to let Steven close this one out. This is a clip from later in one of the videos that Narc shared in his video, and this is one of my faves.
Look, what we are trying to do, which is to create a community-focused feedback loop for our development process in creating a non-pay-to-win game that champions the integrity of the player, and with the intricate, detailed systems and interconnectivity that Ashes provides in a very sandbox environment where you can actually see, not just hear buzzwords, of the environment reacting to the actions of the players, that should be something that everyone roots for. Everyone in this industry and in the community of MMORPG gamers should be rooting for the success of projects like ours, because innovation only occurs when risk takers move forward to achieve something. That is important. Look,
that is important. I couldn't have said it any better. We are rooting for Ashes. We are rooting for Star Citizen. We're rooting for PAX. Anyway, I will see you all very soon. Like I said, I got another video, kind of the planned one, coming out this weekend. So look forward to talking to you then. That's we're going to talk about Star Citizen 2025. I got some thoughts. Can't wait to dig into it. Take care, all. Rollo out.